The wildfires of sin. As much as I love summer and getting to go camping, hiking, and all things outdoors, summer also means wildfire season. If you live in the Northwest, you know exactly how much these can impact your summer. If you live somewhere else, you may not have context for how serious of a problem these are. In the US, an average of 70,000 wildfires burn through 5.8 million acres of land each year. That means that each wildfire affects about 82 acres of land. That is way more than I ever would have imagined. Usually we hear about a few large ones each year on the news. 4 stages have to happen to have a wildfire. There must be a spark. If the spark has something to light onto, then it becomes a flame. And if a flame has fuel, it will become a fire. And anywhere there has been a fire, there will be destruction. Why do I tell you this? Because the Bible warns us about something very similar to this. We have all most likely heard, take every thought captive. But why does the Bible say this? Because there is a similar progression from a spark to destruction in a wildfire, as from a single thought or temptation to death. James 1:15 says, after desire is conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it's full grown, gives birth to death. I want you to think about it like this. A spark is equal to a thought or a temptation. A flame is equal to a desire. A fire is equal to sin. And destruction is equal to death. A thought, if taken captive, is not a sin, but once a thought has become a desire, it is much harder to resist. According to Matthew 5:28, if you have a desire, you have already sinned in your heart. Look at the synonyms for desire: urge, longing, craving, thirst, hunger, passion, appetite, yearning. Sin should never be something that you crave. Desire is dangerous. I don't know about you, but once I have a desire for something, it is all I can think about. It owns my mind. This is why we cannot let thoughts that are not obedient to God get to this point. The thing about a fire is that as long as you keep feeding it, it will continue to grow. Same to be true with sin. And once it is burning hot in you, it isn't easily extinguished. If you have ever been stuck in a sin pattern, you know that it is incredibly difficult to stop. Sin usually feels good until you have taken the time to assess the situation and see the destruction it has caused. This is because sin is pleasing to our flesh. Wildfire destruction, just like sin in our life, can have long-lasting effects. The bigger the fire, the more time it takes to rebuild your life and relationships that were impacted by the fire. Restoration is possible with God's help, but it is best if we try to tackle these early, burning as little as possible. Here are some ways to prevent wildfires in our life. Early detection. The earlier you can detect the fire, the chances of major destruction decrease. This is why community and accountability are so important. Water your ground. Drought is a common reason for wildfires spreading. Make sure you are in the Word so that you can rely on God's promises for your life and know His character. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Philippians 4:8. Notice the signs. Just like in the forest, there are signs for the risk level of a forest fire. If we are attentive to the signs in our life, that can help us know when to be more cautious. One example may be, if you are having a stressful week at work, this might be something to be hyper aware of, because it could cause you to lash out at your spouse, drink to manage your stress, turn to pornography, the list goes on. Do not neglect a fire. Proverbs 4:23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. After recognizing thoughts that bring negativity, temptation, and harm to your life, refuse to accept them. Instead of simply brushing them aside, actively resist and combat their influence. Avoid places or things that could be fuel for the fire. Flee from places that are a common place for said sin. If you struggle with alcohol, do not go and hang out with your friends at the bar. If you struggle with lust, stay away from places that are common triggers, beaches, shows, certain movies, or social media. Romans 12:2 says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect.